Hi, this is Kevin from Kevin's Micro Homestead, and I'm going to do a series of videos on food safety, security, and sustainability. Basically, what equals peace of mind when it comes to your food. And how I define that is it's knowing where your food comes from, how it's grown, and who's growing it, and so you've got some control over knowing what's how your food's being produced for you. And there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can either grow it yourself or grow it cooperatively with other people. And what I want to show you is some options and possibilities for growing for yourself or in your own backyard or in a small lot or small acreage or cooperatively with other people. And one of the things I want to show you today is chickens and chicken tractor system and how that works and how it works in conjunction with your whole enterprise of growing food and producing food. So I'm going to turn the camera around on my group of chickens I've got here. And what I have right here is a chicken tractor, and that's a pen that's got no bottom to it. And you can move this around on the ground. And so what you see happening is I just moved the birds onto a fresh spot of ground, and they're busy picking grass and seeds and weeds and bugs, whatever they can find, and scratching up the ground a little bit, and then eventually they'll be manuring the ground as well. So they're kind of stirring things up. They're really good at getting some of their food product out of this process, and they actually look forward to when I come out and move their cage forward every day because they know they're going to get a fresh piece of ground to work. And they'll be on here 24 to 48 hours, depending on how much that work they do on the ground. So they're doing a little rototilling, scratching and picking. You can see they're just kind of working away there. They're getting some of the food that they need so that I don't have to buy packaged or processed feeds. And of course, it's a lot healthier for them to get fresh uh, vegetables and insects out here in the air. Um, so this pen is 4 foot by 8 foot and 3 foot tall, and it's made out of a lightweight wooden frame with chicken wire stapled around it to keep predators out and keep the hens safe. And then it's got a fiberglass panel across the back, which allows light in, but it stops the wind from coming in there too hard. And then the roof is made out of a combination of a fiberglass panel for light and a metal panel. And the metal panel, the way I fastened it, allows me to lift it up so that I can reach in and put in feed and water and collect eggs and check on the birds, and makes it a real simple, easy to work process. I don't need any fancy carpentry skills to do that. So they're helping me do a variety of things in here. I'm getting my ground cleaned up and tilled. That 4 foot by 8 foot is designed so that I can actually set that over the beds that I create for growing produce, which is I like a 4 foot by 8 foot bed because I can reach in from either side to the middle, which is 2 feet, and reach all the plants, do the weeding and seeding and watering and harvesting and so forth without stepping on the beds, which compacts the soil. So they'll clean up my harvested beds and scratch and till in them and manure them, and then I move them over. They also, while they're at it, will produce eggs and meat. And if I've got banny hens in here, which are these little bitty guys. They're about half the size of these Rhode Island Red standard breed egg layers. And the nice thing about the bannies is they're pretty self-sufficient. They do real well. They're very the little rooster in there, the big black one, very protective of his girls, and they're very broody, which means they like to sit on eggs. and they'll lay a small egg, not like a store size egg like you get out of these guys, but these guys will lay a small egg, but they'll also sit on any egg, and so I can get replacement birds off of these guys, because if I put some nests in there, which it's mid-October right now, so that's not going to happen, but I can take fertile eggs from these larger breed hens and set them in the nest with the smaller hens, and they'll set on them just like they'll set on their own eggs. They like to do that. They're naturally predisposed to doing that, whereas these bigger hens are not. They've been bred not to be broody because they're just bred for egg production. And I can get meat from these birds as they age up and have lived out their useful productive lives. Then I can dispatch them to the freezer and eventually the stew pot, and then they wind up being food for us. So I get a variety of things. They're doing about 5 different things here. They're laying eggs, they're cleaning up the weeds, they're tilling the ground, they're getting some of their food value off of the pasture or the garden bed, and they're fertilizing, and then they're replacing with new birds every year when they set and hatch them out. So it's a pretty intertwined productive system that helps me work my garden and creates a multiple benefit to my garden. I can throw kitchen scraps in there as well. They're pretty good at cleaning up those. They got some vegetable scraps and some bread crust and so forth earlier today, which is kind of a treat for them. And so they do a really good job. They help me out. I've got a second pen right over there that's got some larger breed egg layers in it, and that's also a 4x8 pen. It's got a couple of roosters and about 9 hens in there, and same principle. I'm moving them around every day, and they're working the garden, so I'm getting tillage or chicken tractor, rototilling and fertilizing and cleaning up the beds and so forth. And that's just one of the ways you can practice a biodynamic gardening process. So that's the end of episode 1 in this